Naruto finally made his spectacular entrance. His opponent was the overly arrogant Kiba. Before the match began, Naruto finished questioning Kankuro's puppet and started questioning Kiba's dog, Akamaru. Hayate then educated him on ninja common sense. Animals and insects, like ninja tools, are allowed to be brought into battle by the examinees. Facing the underachieving Naruto, Kiba did not want to win dishonorably. He voluntarily gave up letting Akamaru join the fight, deciding to defeat Naruto fairly. On the sidelines, Hinata was in a dilemma. Although she liked Naruto, Kiba was her teammate, and she didn't know whom to support. But in reality, battles always have winners and losers. Instead of worrying about who would lose, it's better to think positively. Be happy for whoever wins. In Kiba's view, Naruto was not only the mischievous child at school, but during Iruka's class, he even transformed into Hiruzen to disrupt the class and draw attention. Once Kiba transformed into his beast form, he grew claws and his speed increased. He easily breached Naruto's safety zone, and the unsuspecting Naruto was sent flying. He slid across the ground for a distance and lay there unable to get up for a long time. Kiba thought he had successfully knocked down Naruto and turned to leave, but the lying Naruto quietly stood up. One of Naruto's distinctive traits is his remarkable resilience. Naruto stood up and taunted Kiba, which infuriated Kiba immensely. He charged with Akamaru at his side. Kiba deployed a smoke bomb, and within the smoke, Naruto was continuously attacked from all directions. Not wanting to be passively hit, Naruto burst out of the smoke, but was bitten and dragged back in by the waiting Akamaru. When the smoke cleared, only the injured Naruto lay on the ground, with Akamaru wagging his tail beside him, and Kiba showing a triumphant smile, loudly praising his dog for a job well done. Just then, the situation changed dramatically. Akamaru bit into Kiba, who had opened his arms wide. It was all Naruto's transformation technique. Kiba shook off Naruto, who had returned to human form, and Naruto still complained about Kiba's dog smell. While Kiba was looking for his dog, poor Akamaru was being held up high by Naruto. The brief exchange exposed Naruto's actual combat intelligence. He skillfully utilized the shadow clone technique and transformation. His timing was also perfect. Many ninja teachers and friends present greatly changed their impression of Naruto. But Kiba started to get serious. Akamaru, having taken a pill, turned his fur red and furiously broke free from Naruto's hold. Kiba used the double wolf fang technique, creating two Kibas appearing in front of Naruto. It turned out that both Kiba and Akamaru had taken military ration pills, a stimulant loaded with protein that also has a calming effect, allowing soldiers to fight tirelessly for 3 days and nights. Naruto protested against the blatant use of stimulants, questioning the fairness of the match. Unfortunately, his protest was in vain, and Kiba's fang over fang technique was tried and tested from start to finish. Even after Naruto later became Hokage, Kiba continued to use this technique. Fortunately, it was still effective. Naruto was once again knocked down, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, which greatly distressed Hinata. Kiba, kicking Naruto while he was down, mocked Naruto's dream of becoming Hokage. Naruto stubbornly stood up, showing a fierce expression for the first time. He was determined to make those who mocked his dreams pay. Kiba would be the one defeated. In the smoke, Kiba and Akamaru launched multiple fang over fang attacks. Naruto couldn't dodge them all. He had to think of a brilliant plan. Indeed, with his good combat intelligence, when the smoke cleared, 3 Kibas stood there, everyone looking at each other, all stunned. Kiba thought he could break the technique. His nose, gathering chakra, could smell tens of thousands of times better than a normal human. He easily knocked down one he thought was a disguised Naruto, but the one he knocked down turned out to be a dizzy Akamaru lying on the ground, which made Kiba lose confidence. Suspecting another Akamaru clone behind him, the hot-tempered Kiba knocked it down with a punch, only to find another unconscious Akamaru after the smoke cleared. The observant teachers and onlookers realized that the always mischievous Naruto had a superb tactical plan. Indeed, the first to be knocked down was actually a clone of Naruto, but the disguised Naruto had transformed into Akamaru, confusing Kiba. Before Kiba could figure it out, Naruto leaped up and attacked. poor Akamaru was really of no help this time. Humans tend to trust their eyes more, even if their noses are sensitive. Kiba, looking at Akamaru lying beside him, felt a pang of guilt. Facing Naruto's taunts, Kiba bit his own hand to calm himself down. He still had the advantage of speed, and was sure to find Naruto's weakness. But the cautious and calm Kiba was still broken through by Naruto. Naruto decided to use his ultimate technique, but Kiba, using his speed advantage, didn't allow Naruto to perform his finishing move. After a struggle, risking an arm injury, Naruto caught Kiba and threw him out. Once again, Kiba relied on his speed, dove behind Naruto's bottom, planning to launch a fierce attack on Naruto. Coincidentally, Naruto was preparing his ultimate technique, but exerted too much force and let out a fart. Kiba was caught right in the path of Naruto's fart, creating a scene both comical and awkward. Kiba, with his highly sensitive nose, felt 1,000 times the impact, turning his usual advantage into his downfall at that moment. Proved that Naruto truly is the most unpredictable ninja. Taking advantage of the moment, Naruto finally unleashed his ultimate technique, under the Taijutsu Kagebunshin, the Uzumaki Naruto Rendan, leaving Kiba unable to stand. It was an unexpected turn of events. Naruto, without invoking the Kyuubi, defeated a formidable opponent. The victor was Naruto. The next battle is rapidly approaching. Hinata faces her greatest crisis. Her opponent is Neji from the Hyuga branch family. Before the match, Neji hoped Hinata would forfeit. Hinata, gentle and kind, shy and reserved, cares deeply about others' feelings. Such traits seemed unsuitable for this stage of competition. Hinata disagreed with Neji's view. Despite her timid nature, she wished to express her true feelings, but didn't know where to begin. Neji launched a fierce psychological attack on Hinata. Seeing Hinata frightened, Naruto, standing on the platform, denounced Neji's casual criticism of another's heart, encouraging Hinata to boldly face this arrogant foe. His words gave Hinata immense confidence. Perhaps from that moment, Hinata's heart began to slowly awaken. Neji, realizing the change in Hinata, found Naruto's encouragement terrifying. Hinata also activated her Byakugan. Refusing to run away, she resolved to formally confront her cousin. The Hyuga family has their ancestral Taijutsu secret technique. Guy and Lee practice a Taijutsu that breaks bones, called Steel Fist. The Hyuga practice a Taijutsu that disrupts internal chakra pathways and organs, called Gentle Fist. From this comparison, Hyuga's Gentle Fist should be more powerful. Both use the same technique. Unfortunately, Hinata was a bit slow. Neji struck Hinata's heart, directly causing her to spit blood. In the rapidly changing fight, Neji clearly found Hinata's chakra points, cutting off her chakra flow with ease, sending Hinata flying several meters with a single palm. He told Hinata that the excellent are always excellent, and failures can only be failures, just like the difference between the main family and the branch family. Yet, Hinata did not give up. Bleeding profusely, she believed in Naruto's philosophy, never to betray her own words. She declared this was also her nindo. For the first time, Naruto felt the impact, surprised that someone so deeply shared his nindo. Hinata and Naruto's feelings perhaps began to sprout from that moment. Neji's attack left Hinata unable to use her chakra. Even though defeat was certain, Hinata mustered the courage to keep fighting. Looking up at Naruto cheering for her from above, her heart filled with strength. All her efforts, just to keep up with the one she admired. No one expected, Naruto, once despised by the villagers, would receive such fervent admiration from Hinata, the Hyuga heiress. Neji struck Hinata's heart again. Hinata fell to the ground, but encouraged by Naruto, she stubbornly stood up again. Neji, confronted by Hinata revealing the taboo of the clan's past grievances, wrapped in hatred, intended to kill Hinata. Fortunately, several jonin intervened. Before fainting, Hinata saw Naruto rushing over, her condition critical. She was urgently carried away by medical personnel. Naruto solemnly touched the blood Hinata left on the ground. Pointing at Neji, he vowed to battle him. No wonder Naruto was angry. A fight is just a fight. As ninjas of the same village, how could one strike to kill? Currently, only Chuji from Team 10 has not yet fought. Chuji, already timid, was further scared by Shikamaru's teasing. Remaining are only the experts. Sound ninjas Dosu, the passionate Taijutsu expert Lee, and the fearsome Gaara. Chuji, listening to Shikamaru's analysis, could hardly support his own body, squatting while holding the railing. He resolved, if he faced any of the three, he would forfeit immediately. But his teacher Asuma knew Choji's weakness, directly threatening no barbecue if he forfeited. After some coercion and temptation, the simple food lover Chuji rekindled his spirited nature, beginning to actively prepare for battle. On the other side, the monster inside Gaara, after watching so many battles, could no longer suppress its excitement and agitation, eager to taste the blood of his enemies. Kankuro, seemingly mature, intended to collect information in Konohagakure, but he chose the wrong target. After some provocation, not a bit of useful information was collected. Instead, he was ruthlessly struck because he had chosen Naruto. At that moment, a new battle began. With Hayate's coughing, the atmosphere started to tense up. Gaara did not wait for the full name to appear on the big screen. He was eager to turn into sand, ready for battle. Unfortunately, the fierce Gaara encountered the simple-minded, hot-blooded youth Lee. Guy and his disciple Lee were still chatting on the stage. With Guy's loud cheers, Lee jumped off the stand. Facing the gloomily intense Gaara, Lee performed a standard Taijutsu starting move. He was also thrilled to meet such a formidable opponent. The battle was about to begin. In the early days of the Hokage, the most classic fight of the Chunin exam started. It was the 9th round, Gaara versus Lee. Lee, facing a strong enemy, didn't even attempt to probe and rushed in attack. It seemed he was very confident in his own strength. A leaf whirlwind attack was full of momentum, but, unfortunately, it had no effect. Gaara's passive skill, absolute defense, was arguably the strongest defense skill in the early Hokage period. Gaara's sand, which could attack and defend, explained why he always stood with his arms crossed. He hardly needed to use his hands in a fight. Even when Lee pulled out a kunai and launched a flurry of punches and kicks at Gaara, he couldn't break through the absolute defense. He was always battling against the protective sand. Aside from Kiba's group, everyone else was unfamiliar with this peculiar style of combat. Although Kankuro disliked his younger brother, seeing him so capable, he couldn't resist the urge to boast. The sand from Gaara's gourd could defend against any physical attack. The sand automatically formed a shield to protect him without needing his will to control it, hence called a passive skill. As Gaara watched Lee's continued unsuccessful attacks, he thought Lee had only that much ability. Unable to bear it any longer, Gaara wrapped up Lee's feet and flung him away. The overwhelming sand attacked Lee with incredible speed. At that moment, if it were any other ninja, they could have diversified their means of attack, such as using ninjutsu or genjutsu or remote attacks. However, Lee, who only knew taijutsu, was extremely unlucky. Unable to dodge in time, Lee slipped on the sand and was engulfed by it in an instant. Yet relying on his agile movement, he dodged the attack. He jumped onto the hand of a ninja statue in the arena. It seemed that continuing the basic taijutsu combat was ineffective. Guy, observing Lee's movements, confidently thumbed up, signaling Lee to take it off. His cryptic language confused everyone present except Lee, who understood his teacher Guy's concise language. Lee was happy he could finally fight freely. He pulled off the yellow leg weights he wore, revealing the weights on his legs that looked like lead bands. The audience thought removing such weights seemed ineffective, with Tamari even showing a disdainful smile. However, the next second, Lee shouted that he could finally move freely and dropped the weights from a height. The weights hit the ground like bombs from a bomber, generating smoke that exceeded the height of the statue and creating a loud noise. Everyone was stunned, hardly believing that such small weights could be so heavy, enough to break through the floor. After dropping the weights, Lee's speed and strength increased dramatically. The sand's absolute defense could no longer keep up with Lee's attack speed, frequency, and force. The first strike penetrated the thin layer of sand. The invisible flash attacks surprised Gaara, who could no longer keep a stoic face. However, with the speed too fast to see, Gaara could only passively get hit. A series of attacks from left and right made Gaara neglect his upper side. The next second, Lee fiercely kicked Gaara's head, making Gaara bow down as if in a standard bow. Guy, watching from the stage, was even more excited than his disciple, shouting about burning youth. Others found his words awkward, but Lee took it as good news. The fire of youth was ignited in his eyes. Facing Gaara, He threw another punch, breaking through the defense. Gaara, now vulnerable, showed a ferocious expression as he began to go berserk. Lee also used the high-speed plummeting attack, Karen. Releasing his arm wraps, Lee intended to let Gaara experience a high-speed fall. After spinning around, the continuous kick sent Gaara up into the sky. The Karen of Konohagakure bloomed as Lee wrapped Gaara with the bandages, and the two plummeted down rapidly. After a burst of smoke, the completely shattered floor revealed Gaara lying quietly inside. Just when Lee thought he had won, Gaara appeared behind him. Due to the recent Karen, Lee's body was heavily burdened, and his legs were injured, preventing him from dodging Gaara's attack. The slower Lee began to be unilaterally suppressed by Gaara. The crushed Lee triggered memories in other members of Guy's class, all filled with Lee's inspiring stories of fighting against the odds. Lee could not be defeated by such a level of combat because he was a genius of effort. Lee looked at his teacher Guy on the stage and smiled. His confidence was restored because the 8 Gates release and Urakaren were finally about to make their official appearance. A surge of chakra erupted from Lee's body, forming a towering column of energy. Inside the column, Lee exploded with power. The 3rd gate, the life gate, opened without a pause in the rising breath. Lee, determined to uphold his Nindo, activated the 4th gate, the pain gate. The ferocious Lee possesses top-tier destructive power. As he moves, the poor floor shatters again. Gaara still can't resist. His jaw is knocked clean off. Gaara is violently beaten by the rampaging Lee, creating a scene that is spectacular for a moment. With the final strike, Lee opens the 5th gate, the limit gate. Gaara, with his sand shattering, is completely panicked on his face. He never expected human taijutsu to reach such a level. Gaara's gourd turns into a cushion, protecting him. Lee's muscles are torn, and he no longer has the strength to fight again. Gaara is thoroughly angered. Still, Lee couldn't hold on till the end. Gaara destroys one of Lee's arms and a leg, then plans to end Lee's life completely. At that moment, Guy appears. With a mere wave of his hand, he disperses the seemingly invincible sand. Indeed, the gap between ninjas of different levels is significant. Gaara asks Guy why he saved Lee. Guy replies that Lee is his beloved student. Gaara, unable to understand, knows he cannot defeat this man and does not wish to entangle any further. Anyway, the moment Guy steps in to save Lee, Gaara considers it his victory. But an unbelievable scene occurs. Lee, unconscious, stands up driven by sheer will. Even if his body is unconscious, his soul still follows his Nindo. Guy is moved to tears. Even though he trusts his student, he could never have imagined Lee could go this far. Gaara is left deeply impressed by this opponent, who gave him a tough fight. Not just because of his strength, he is a respectable adversary, but more because of his beloved teacher and so many companions. Beneath his cold exterior, there might be a hard-to-describe feeling of envy. Walking alone, he might be wondering if anyone would stand up for him if his life were at risk. After a check, Lee's injuries are much more severe than imagined, with widespread fractures and muscle tears. From now on, he might not be able to become a ninja. The price Lee paid for this battle was perhaps too heavy. Unfortunately, it was bad luck. If Lee had faced a different opponent, even Neji, he might have won. Naruto is deeply saddened, watching Lee being carried away, but his effort and persistence touch and inspire everyone deeply. Lee proves with his actions and will that even if he is not a genius and not favored by fate, he can still break through the barriers set by his limits. In the next match, the last of the Sound Ninja, Ninja Dosu, faces Team 10's Choji. Choji, spurred by the promise of barbecued meat, is highly motivated and not at all afraid of the formidable Dosu. Dosu, as an honorable enemy, leaves a good impression on many. Ino, still not minding stirring up trouble, blatantly calls Chuji a pig, knowing well how much he hates it. A true teammate indeed. Angry, Chuji's combat power increases. Chuji knows Dosu's killing move is the right arm, which can emit sonic attacks. Thinking of a trick to avoid the sound attack, he uses Bubunbaika no Jutsu. Chuji, inflating like a balloon, grows several times larger, and his limbs retract, transforming into a giant round ball. The rolling ball, carrying powerful kinetic energy, rapidly charges toward Dosu. Facing the rampaging Nikuden Sensha, Dosu can only dodge. However, the next second, Choji, momentarily stopped against a wall, is hit by Dosu's right fist. Choji feels nothing, but Dosu, touching Choji's rear, lightly taps his beehive device on his right arm, causing Choji to scream non-stop. It turns out sound waves can be conducted through the body. Choji, stunned by the sonic attack, reverts to his original form amid a cloud of smoke. Since the human body is over 70% water, and water can conduct sound, Dosu uses the power of science to defeat Choji, a testament to Orochimaru's guidance. The third Chunin exam preliminary thus ends. 10 contestants enter the main event, including 3 from Tsunagakure no Sato, one sound ninja, and the rest from Konohagakure. The official third exam is scheduled a month later, giving contestants ample time to prepare and know their enemies. The Chunin exam continues, and Orochimaru's plot is also being carefully prepared. Under the bright sunlight, behind a column in a courtyard, Orochimaru and his subordinate Kabuto discuss the plot to overthrow Konohagakure. Kabuto first expresses dissatisfaction, upset about being kept in the dark about the Sound Ninja Village incident. Orochimaru soothes Kabuto's emotions, deeming it necessary to dismantle Team 7 one by one. As a spy, Kabuto is quite competent. In the hospital, he silently defeats the guard Anbu Ninja and reaches the unconscious Sasuke's side, planning to take Sasuke away. However, Kakashi arrives behind him, and his spy identity is finally exposed. Kabuto knew he couldn't defeat Kakashi, so relying on a deceptive technique, he simply slipped away. During this month of preparation, Naruto's abilities needed to be strengthened and improved. Kakashi, having discovered Kabuto's actions, was spread thin and chose Ebisu as Naruto's new teacher to help him with his next stage of training. However, Naruto looked down on this man, who had once been overwhelmed by his sexy jutsu. This matter remained a secret, and Kakashi was unaware. Ebisu quickly covered Naruto's mouth, not wanting his own matters to become known throughout Konohagakure. Ebisu promised to treat Naruto to a big meal, which barely persuaded Naruto to agree. For Naruto, whose basics in ninja skills were weak, Ebisu was indeed the best teacher at this stage. As a household tutor and a special jonin, Ebisu's teaching skills and abilities were considered superior to Kakashi's. Still, Naruto was not convinced. After Kakashi left, Naruto regretted his decision. He felt that since Ebisu had fallen for his sexy jutsu and had fainted with a nosebleed for a long time, Ebisu could not be stronger than him and thus unfit to be his teacher. Naruto, sometimes stubborn, challenged Ebisu, who did not argue further but proposed a catch-me-if-you-can game. If Ebisu caught Naruto, he would accept the special training. If not, Ebisu would ask Kakashi to train him. Naruto, naive, started running immediately. Ebisu, known in Konohagakure as the Black Lightning, began his legend. No matter how Naruto ran and hid, even disguising himself as a beautiful lady from a movie poster, a serious Ebisu easily found him. Annoyed, Naruto used his shadow clone technique to escape, but Ebisu used the same technique, capturing Naruto's clones one by one, finally cornering the real Naruto by a small river. At Ramen Ichiraku, after a hearty meal, Naruto finally listened to Ebisu's analysis of his weaknesses. With the same chakra, Sakura and Sasuke could produce 10 clones, while Naruto could only make 2. His precision in controlling chakra was poor. Despite having a lot of chakra, it was a waste if not used properly. Naruto began to respect Ebisu and agreed to the special training. Ebisu, shocked by Naruto's enormous appetite, faced a mountain of bills from Ramen Ichiraku. The training site was a hot spring where Ebisu's method involved concentrating chakra in the feet to walk on the unstable surface of the spring without falling into the 60-degree water. While Ebisu was diligently training Naruto, he turned to find a silver-haired middle-aged man peeking into the women's bathhouse. Bursting with a sense of justice, Ebisu approached him but was no match. Only when a toad appeared did Ebisu vaguely guess the man's identity. Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin of Konohagakure. Jiraiya's entrance was somewhat indecent, caught peeking at women. To avoid interruption, Jiraiya summoned a toad and knocked out Ebisu, the special jonin. Naruto, shocked in the hot springs, realized the true strength of this unidentified middle-aged man, likely even surpassing Kakashi. Thus, Naruto's next real teacher appeared. Despite Ebisu's dramatic scenes, It was hard to say whether he fainted on purpose after recognizing Jiraiya, a legend of Konohagakure, especially after witnessing Jiraiya's dishonorable behavior. Naruto accused Jiraiya of knocking out his teacher, Ebisu, while Jiraiya claimed Ebisu was interrupting a writer's research. Jiraiya pulled out a book very familiar to Naruto. It was the risque novel Kakashi often read, and Jiraiya was its author. As Naruto loudly accused Jiraiya of peeping, people fled from the opposite bathhouse. Naruto insisted that Jiraiya teach him ninjutsu since his teacher was incapacitated. Jiraiya, unwilling to be followed by Naruto, elegantly escaped, looking for another place to gather material. This uncle is really strong. He became more determined to have Jiraiya as his teacher. Naruto, who was searching on the streets, soon spotted Jiraiya coming out of a tavern. However, Jiraiya's attempt to flirt with a young girl backfired, and he ended up getting slapped twice. Naruto really didn't want to say anything. This person is so old and still so embarrassing. After some twists and turns, the wheels of fate slowly began to turn. Naruto sacrificed himself by using the sexy jutsu to captivate Jiraiya to become his teacher. Only then did their formal master-disciple relationship truly begin. With his shirt off, while Naruto was concentrating on performing ninjutsu, Jiraiya saw Orochimaru's 5-element seal on him. He helped Naruto remove the 5-element seal, stabilizing Naruto's chakra, allowing Naruto to train better in ninjutsu. Previously, Naruto couldn't stand properly on water, but now he can jump around on it lively.